This episode begins with Clark taking Lois and Jimmy to his hometown and house where the rest of his secret is buried to show them where he came from. Jimmy is fascinated, but Lois is stunned and plans to start over with Clark, while Lois and Clark are enjoying a love moment. And finally, Clark asks her out on a date. Meanwhile, Jimmy arrives at the room and finds Clark all drained because of all the planning for the date. Apparently, Clark planned not only the specific hours, but flowcharts and maps. So much for a date with Superman. Then Jimmy leaves to spend a normal time with Lois but finds the same thing, planning everything. But this time it's for a gift. However, of course, the night is not going to be the perfect one. Clark gets interrupted by a random alien at his front door, asking him to come with him. However, the alien knows that Clark Kent is Superman and starts to explain to him about the ruthless robots that came and how dangerous they are. He puts a visual in his mind. If they kidnapped Lois, what would happen to her? Clark is now all ears and dressed too. The alien opens a gate and both of them are pulled into it. Back to Lois and Jimmy, getting interrupted by several versions of herself asking her to come with them, and that Clark is in danger. Meanwhile, Clark and the alien arrive to the place and fuels him with words like she is in danger. As Clark immediately smashes the door, a giant robot door shoves him. The other version of Lois shows the original one their lab and the entire history of the many Loises. However, she also shows her the main reason why she is here and shows her a picture of an alien, the Chaos Guy, the alien who is with Clark at this specific moment. She tells her that Clark is helping him and he is the bad guy. One of the version pulls a strand of Lois's hair to analyze it in order to find Clark, but apparently she hates Clark, and now Lois, the original one, is suspicious of the whole situation. Back to Clark and the alien. Apparently, the alien is planning to rob the place and asks Clark to smash everything so he can grab everything inside. Clark realizes that the alien only used his fear of Lois getting hurt to help him with his robbery. The alien confirms that he did indeed use him and Lois was never in danger as he claimed. The alien smashes a glass box and steals a weapon. On the way out, Clark tries to stop him, but the alien starts to mock him as he will never be normal like the others, then faints mid-speech. But it was only a distraction to take Clark into another gate. Moving on to Lois and Jimmy. Jimmy announces that it's time for an episode of whatever he is watching, and his girl version is as excited as him. But Lois heads to the room where the other Lois kept locked and finds an entire file with multiple Loises from different universes. Lois tries to access the Superman file, but it's restricted by the headquarters. Lois returns back after they have analyzed his location successfully and finds the evidence of Superman actually helping the alien to rob the museum. Clark and the alien arrive to a destination, and the other versions too, but they are getting ready with weapons in order to stop him completely. As Lois was trying to stop them, they lock her in a tube. The other versions go against Superman and fight him. Meanwhile, the alien escapes and steals their ship. Jimmy states that Lois is still on board, and Clark flies immediately to save her, but fails as the alien opens another gate and flies with the ship inside of it. However, Lois broke out of the tube and threatens the alien to turn the ship around, but gets interrupted. That the alien has a recorder of the other Lois's voice that can lead the ship to the headquarters, so she can find out the secret of Superman that they all have been hiding. They arrive at the destination, and Lois finds the file related to Superman. On the other hand, the alien goes into a huge cupboard to retrieve his item of power back, and starts attacking Lois with several gates, each one leading to another one. And then he returns Lois back to the ship, but the other versions notice that the alien now has the hat, and starts attacking all of them. Now all of them are fighting, but Lois suggests an idea to save the day. Superman uses himself as a distraction, while Lois and Jimmy attack him and take his hat and return to Earth safely. As Lois arrives at her house back from the date, she opens the file and sees other versions of Superman, but these versions are destructive, not the one she knows. The criminals who were trying to rob the bank in the previous episodes are released for some reason from the cells in jail, with other several criminals and villains, but they immediately get struck with electricity, and a man appears scolding them for what they have done with their stolen weapons, technology, and tells them that he will make them pay their debt today. Clark wakes up from a nightmare to the voices of people around him and flies immediately outside to help the people of the city from several incidents, but he hears a voice of someone saying his name. The next morning, Jimmy returns to their room and sees that Superman is being overwhelmed by the number of incidents and explains to him that he can hear the general speaking about what he will do and rushes to Lois. Meanwhile, Lois arrives to the office almost sad, but as soon as she opens the door, plenty of flowers are covering the entire room. Apparently, Clark is a hopeless romantic, but she remembers the file she has in her purse of the several other versions of Superman. Her boss asks her to come with him to introduce her to the famous reporter, and tells her that he wants this reporter in their company since she is considering leaving her job. Lois, Vicky, and Jimmy gather around, and she tells them that they will go after Superman. Shocking. Superman is still in his suit, saving people and the day too, as Clark tries to overhear the voices of people asking for help. Instead, he hears the voice of the general, but another voice of a little girl who lost her mother. Clark heads immediately to her side and helps her find her mother. After that, Clark notices the news on the TV clarifying an invisible man is going around the city and realizes it's the criminal from the bank that the general is looking for. Back to Lois, Jimmy, and Vicky. She tells them she wants to interview Superman and expose his secrets, but they distract her and tell her they will do the interview instead of her. But every time they interview someone, they talk nice about Superman. They get interrupted by a message from Clark, and he immediately flies and takes them without anyone noticing to tell them what is happening in the city and with the whole general thing, and asks them for their help. Clark hears another voice of the invisible man and flies away. Vicky interrupts Lois and Jimmy and tells them she has her last interview covered, and they go meet Alex from the previous episode, and he spills all the wrong information about Superman and how he is such a bad superhero. Back to Clark again chasing the invisible man, but the voices in his mind keep distracting him, and Vicky keeps asking questions about Superman and how he had turned Earth into a war zone. Superman is still trying to chase the invisible man around the city, but keeps getting weaker due to the voices in his mind that he keeps hearing. While the man is crossing the street, a truck almost runs him, but Superman pushes him and causes a big mess. Now everyone thinks that Superman is dangerous. Clark meets with Lois and Jimmy and tries to explain to them what happened with the whole incident and how he should find the general. But Lois accidentally tells him to stop being Superman and start being normal, and he flies away. Clark finds the invisible man. He assures him he wants to help him and asks him to show him where they took his sister and his friend. Superman flies to the plane to save them, but instead they attack him. All of them. Lois and Jimmy head to the office to try to stop Vicky, but it is too late. She already published the article claiming that Superman is dangerous, and Jimmy shows her alive on his phone, where Clark is fighting the villains and getting attacked. The general arrives and tells Superman to stand down, as he is the end of the world, and takes him along. These two episodes had a lot of action going on, which I really enjoyed. The whole several versions from different universes and with different perspectives were really fun, but overwhelming to be honest. As for the second episode, the cliffhanger at the end, and abducting Superman will keep on the edge of our seats till the next episode, and the exposure on Clark being drained and consumed by his own powers that he still can't figure out how to control them properly. This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me, what do you think of these two episodes? What do you think would happen to Clark? Do you think Lois and Jimmy will be able to save him? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.